Ravens Rundown, powered by Chat Sports, coming up in just a few moments from right now. It is my birthday this weekend. I am turning 26. And as your fearless leader and your host that's here with you every day, I have a question, and I got to know, guys, at age 26, what's some advice that I need going forward? What do I need to know for age 26? And if you want to tell me happy birthday, the easiest way to do so, just like this video. We certainly would appreciate it. Let's get started with today's show. Ravens Rundown, an at-home video. Today is my off day, but there's so much big Ravens news to get to that I figured on my off day and on my birthday, I would still go ahead and join you here and bring you the latest Baltimore Ravens news and rumors. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the big report that came out from Bleacher Report, as Maurice Moton has said that the Ravens are the favorites to land New York Giants receiver Darius Slayton should the Giants move on from him. Now, to kind of set the scene for you a bit, the Giants are in an interesting situation right now as there's a new regime that's in place with the New York Giants, new GM, new head coach, and they're trying to change a lot of things within that organization, and rebuild from the ground up, essentially. And they already made a move within the last few days, moving on from James Bradberry and his contract, shaving off that $10 million that Bradberry was owed. So now Slayton is the next candidate that the New York Giants could potentially move on. Here's what Moton had to say about this. If New York lets Slayton go, the Baltimore Ravens could make an aggressive offer for him, averaging 15.2 yards per catch through his first two seasons. Slayton can make big plays for the Ravens as a field-stretching replacement for Marquise Brown, whom Baltimore traded to the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, so with that being said, here's a couple things to look at. We've told you many times on this channel that the Ravens are looking for a wide receiver. That, yes, Mark Andrews is back as your top target, playing that tight end spot, but they do need another receiver to go along with that receiving core after losing Marquise Brown. And, what was it? A week or two ago, the Baltimore Sun put out that they felt that the Ravens were in desperation mode to find a receiver. And you look at Slayton, here's the numbers on him. Now, last year was a down year for Darius Slayton, as he had 26 catches, 339 yards, just 2 touchdowns. The year previous, he had 751 yards, 3 touchdowns, and in 2019, he had 740 yards and 8 touchdown grabs. So his numbers have gone down, as you can see. The touchdown rate not even close to what it was a couple of years ago. And, when you look at the average per reception, he was at 15.4 in 2019. In 2021, it dipped down to 13. So look, Slayton, a very good player. And I think the Ravens could certainly use him and find a role for him if they want to have him on this team. But I would be cautious about how much you pay him. With the Ravens only having $8 million in cap space, there's not a whole lot to work with at this point in time. The Ravens, if they want Slayton in and are going to, get the bank out for Slayton, it would cost them a bit on that front. So the $8 million there, I don't know. Slayton, I think, is a good player, and the Ravens obviously need receiver help, but they're going to have to move a lot of things if they were going to make this move and bring Slayton in. This is not something that, at the moment, they are prepared to do. This is not within their structure to be able to bring in Slayton. If he's a guy that they want, then there's going to have to be a few other dominoes to fall at this point. Want to hear from you guys. Should the Ravens sign Darius Slayton? Type Y for yes, type N for no in the comments. You're about to get an ad break. Take advantage of it. While the ad's playing, get your votes in and tell me if the Ravens should bring in Darius Slayton from the New York Giants. Y for yes, N for no. The Ravens signed another quarterback this week. It is Brett Hundley. And Hundley, of course, played his college ball at UCLA and previously played for the Green Bay Packers, the Seattle Seahawks, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Indianapolis Colts. He has been a journeyman quarterback of sorts throughout his career as a career backup. And although we haven't seen him play a whole lot as a starter, what we have seen of him has not been that great. If you remember, he's a former fifth-round pick by the Green Bay Packers back in 2015. And in 2017, Aaron Rodgers got hurt early in the season. Hundley had to play most of that season, starting in 9 games, played in 11 games. Completion percentage less than 61% that year, 1,800 yards, had 9 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. So not great numbers for Brett Hundley in his career when he has had to play. Now, when you look at Hundley, last season in Indianapolis, he was back and forth between the active roster and the practice squad for the Colts. He couldn't quite find his footing when it came to the active roster. Now, with him coming to Baltimore, here's what I expect. If he is around on this Ravens team when the season begins, I would think it's similar to what we saw in Indianapolis last year. Back and forth between the active roster and the practice squad, depending on the injury situation. Now, there is an unless in all of this, and that is unless somebody makes an offer to trade for Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley looked really good, I thought, filling in for Lamar Jackson last year when he got the chance to start. And if there's a quarterback that goes down on a contending team and they feel the need to make a move for a quarterback, Tyler Huntley could be on the trade market. The Ravens, I think, love him as a backup quarterback. Tyler Huntley is as good as it gets when it comes to backup quarterbacks in this league, and they'll want to keep him, of course. But if somebody is desperate enough and makes a trade for Huntley, then that's where Brett Hundley comes in to be on the active roster, to be the new backup quarterback for Lamar Jackson. That's what I would see for the role for Hundley, unless they don't. If they keep on with Huntley, then that'll be his role. Practice squad player, back and forth with the active roster. But if they move on from Huntley, then I could see him being the backup for Lamar Jackson otherwise. So there you have it there for the former UCLA quarterback signing with the Baltimore Ravens there. Ravens Rundown, we're bringing you content each and every day here on the channel. You got to make sure that you are subscribed to the Rundown and have those notifications turned on as well. You can find us youtube.com/RavensTV to be caught up to date with all the latest Ravens news and rumors right here on the channel. And if you're a subscriber, like the video. Tell us that you are subscribed by liking this video so we know where you're at, where you're watching from. Like the video if you are subscribed today. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe now, youtube.com/RavensTV. One more Ravens note for you. A practice squad player from 2021 was waived by the Ravens. That was Kevin Toiler. And Kevin was brought in, last year. It was around the middle of the season, and there's not really a need for him on this roster anymore when they brought in Kyle Fuller earlier this week from the Broncos to be the Ravens' number 3 cornerback. And, I love this Ravens secondary, the way that things are shaping out now with Kyle Fuller involved and already having Marlon Humpfrey and Marcus Peters coming off injury. You add Kyle Hamilton, your first-round pick, who some people think was the best player in this entire draft and slipped all the way to the Ravens position. You add in Marcus Williams as well, who you brought in this offseason from the Saints. Folks, this secondary is going to be phenomenal. I think it's going to be as good as any secondary in the NFL. A lot of fun to watch what this secondary will do for the Ravens. So before we go on today's show, I want you to rate the Ravens secondary. How do you think this group will be in 2022? If you had to scale it 1 to 100, how would you rate the Ravens secondary? Let me know in the comments section of how you would rate the Ravens secondary. If you love it, if it's perfect, give it a 100. If it's somewhere in between, like a nice 69 number, whatever it may be, give me a number in the comments section of how you would rate the Ravens secondary. Thanks for joining us here on the Ravens Rundown.